Rajnish, there is a lot of buzz around AI, almost too much, if you ask me. Now, how do you personally sort of differentiate what's noise from what are the real signals?
Well, there will be buzz, right? Because this is probably one of the biggest inflection point in the history of humanity. The reason why there's a lot more buzz is because we see a lot more buzz thanks to social media. When internet came back in the days like 25, 30 years ago, that was also like a transformational technology. And there was a lot of buzz offline inside the world around it, but I don't think people in general could see that because there's no dissemination of that information in a manner that is possible today with social media, etc. So I think the buzz is kind of valid because it's actually a very powerful transformative technology. Probably this would definitely be like the biggest inflection point human beings would see. Uh, uh, Whether there's noise, I think that there's obviously a lot of noise that will happen for the simple reason that a lot of these large companies, especially frontier model makers, etc., they all are running maybe ahead of their valuations in some sense because most of the value capture is going to happen in the future, whereas a lot of investment is happening today.
Sure.
And so they need to make sure that the narrative is set for how the world is going to be in the future, and how much value capture they can do, how much of the GDP will actually get more efficient and more automated, etc., etc. So I think there are reasons for this, but I think it's kind of normal. I mean, I would.
Okay, fair enough. Not to be negative, but what is one AI promise you think is highly overestimated today?
AGI comes.
Okay.
AGI or the super intelligent promise. I mean, I don't think like these things can happen overnight. Like it's some of these predictions that happened in the past. I think they were probably a little ahead of their times. People got a bit ahead of their times and committed on AGI that coming 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, etc. It also depends on the definition of AGI because I think there has always been a shifting goalpost as well because how people define AGI. If you think about the ability to kind of run all sort of knowledge work in a fully automated fashion, if that's AGI, then we're very close. But then you think about everything else that needs to be done, then we are not. And I think if you even now, like with the best models out there, people still think that there is a chance that AI might go wrong with something like so no matter what you give it to it.
Yeah,
and it would say that okay, maybe it hallucinates a little.
It's just personally one of my fears as well. Because you see all these sci-fi movies, right?
Yeah. My view here is that like every technology, I think you got to know how you use it as well. And for AI, I think AI is great at persistent work, right? And I think you need it to assist you in different kind of ways. Like it is actually a great technology, but I think human beings would continue to be in control.
Yeah,
It's important for us to be the orchestrators. Like I'll tell you the analogy. The analogy is that if you go to this an orchestra where there's a music director, Sam in the center, and they're like maybe 50 musicians with dozens of instruments playing. And this person doesn't know, probably even he doesn't need to know how to play any of those instruments, okay? And he's not even touching those instruments. He's just basically moving his hands in the air, and he's able to create that symphony and orchestrate things. And I think human beings will increasingly play that role in the future, where the orchestra can be, you can think of it as an analogy to AI and robotics, which is a complex subsystem doing all of the heavy lifting for you. And human beings are the creative layer on top of it, which is, they are orchestrating everything. And one way to think about it is also that how, like even in separate domains or just human beings or like in general the world, there's always been layers of abstraction being created.
sure.
And we have learned to live on a different layer. Every time a new layer gets created, we now start operating like basically we are moving up the value chain.
Sure.
And we are doing higher order work instead of doing lower order work. And I think generally what happens is that you tend to forget what the lower. Like if I take the analogy of programming, then if you go down to the chip, then the actual program that runs on the chip is the machine language or the assembly code.
Right.
But then, people had to learn that in the past. But then the layer of abstraction was a programming language that got created because the hardware layer was below that. And then people started doing programming like, and then maybe AI is the next layer. So, you don't even need to know programming like, because you just sing that in English. If you're able to kind of communicate what you want, you'll be able to get that done. So ultimately what's happening is that people are creating different layers of abstraction on top of that. And this is allowing human beings to free up their mental bandwidth, cognitive and storage both, in order to do higher order work. That's how the world will progress, right? Because I've always think about one thing that always comes to my mind is Google Maps. Remember, like in those good old days when knowing every nook and corner and alleys on the flex, it was a flex. I mean, people used to memorize them and they would, flex that. I say, I didn't know how to get there. You just take this, start level. Yeah. And with Google Maps, I mean, you just freed up that mental bandwidth, that storage, that cognitive skill is gone. In fact, that's the downside as well, because now I think about it, my sense of orientation is a shit right now, because even if I look, you turn me around like say 180 degrees and ask me to go back home, I'll probably open Google Maps. So yeah, I mean, I think it's part of evolution.
Yeah, in that sense. No, I copy the analogy you shared, especially in the orchestra one. And yeah, we love anecdotes, we love analogies, and data. Hopefully we'll get some back from you. So I want to talk about Ixigo here. Where are you in your AI journey, and what's the roadmap looking like? And like I said, if you could give us some anecdotes, etc., that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, like it might sound a little, weird to be saying that we've been using AI since AI was not sexy actually. My own personal state with AI was in 2004 while I was still working on a research paper where I had I tweaked something where I could do creative design, cross-domain creative design using behavior analytics. But this is like really, really old school traditional AI. And in general, I was intrigued by AI in general, like not just by watching the movie AI, but in general, AI was like intriguing for me. So when we started, like 2008-9 is when we had our first AI application that we built. This was basically a simple collaborative filtering engine where we would, ask users to fire using Facebook and use their address graphs and then, create hyperlinks from that and then suggest destinations to people. So if I saw that somebody had liked Formula One page on Facebook, then I would suggest destinations where Formula One races happen. One thing. Then 2009-10, we built, we actually, mined hotel reviews from the internet. And then we built the sentiment analysis engine on top of that. So we could tell you the polarity of the review, whether it's a negative review or a positive review, and with respect to what attribute, whether it's with surveys. This is 2010. 2012, we built a travel knowledge graph. So we basically mined the entire internet travel information using Foursquare, Wiki Travel, everything, whatever you can imagine, everything. We caught all of that. We indexed it and created a semantic database. And then we built a natural language search engine on top of that. That was built using support vector machines because that was the only AI available. And there was no DNA. Yeah. And that we launched something which we called Trip Planner. And this is 2012-13, where you could do simple searches like show me hotels in Rajasthan with swimming pool under 5,000 rupees. And instead of taking a Google-like search result, we would throw up the set of hotels with the right filter supply. Or you could just ask like, is Taj Mahal open on Friday? And they could give you the entire landing page of Taj Mahal with a widget at the top which we talked about the tally of Taj. So it was actually what people are trying to build now. Right. But built like almost 13 years ago, right? And that's when we realized that this natural language search can actually transition into something conversational, because we always believed in conversational and voice. And we built our chatbot in 2015. Again, I know it sounds incredulous, but we really built the chat in 2000.
This was on top of some third party or
no, our scratch.
Oh wow!
Using support vector machine, and then eventually it evolved. We you were using LSTM with attention on top of that. Then the board people came from Google. We started using transformers, etc., etc. And that is what transformed. So in 2017, we had presented Tara at Focus 5. We also run a separate at that event. And the whole idea of Tara was exactly this: a travel agent which should talk to you and get, it was very preemptive as well, which we said it knew what you wanted even before you knew what. Like the live demo was about, I was demoing and I got a phone call from this AH live at the demo. And I picked up the phone and then she tells me that, it's that time of the year.
Rajnish, it sounds very Sundar Pichai before he did it on stage. If you know what I'm talking
I know the restaurant thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we did it in 2017. And it basically, the way it could figure it out is it had access to my emails, Gmail Connect. I could see all my passages, my different trial programs, etc. And then it suggested a trip to me which was beach, etc. And the whole use case was there. Like it could book it for me, the agentic booking. It could even track it and say, is this not the right time to book? But I'll wait for next week when the prices will get cheaper, and then I'll book it for you. When I am presenting at the Banthas, all of that, we had to do all of that. So I think we were quite ahead of our times, but I think the promise was great, but the actual execution of that to make it really high quality production ready app that could be deployed in the real world, it cost us an arm and a leg because tech was not available back. But with AI coming into picture, like from 2021-22, when we saw that progress happening, we saw that this is definitely going to happen. And so we hopped on that bandwagon and started doubling down on AI. And today, I think almost everything that we do is AI powered.
Right. Let's talk about some interesting use cases here where it's like delivered really solid results for you.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a 3-pronged strategy for AI. So we call it revenue, efficiency, and disruption.
Okay.
Okay, I'll explain what that means. Very interesting, actually.
Okay.
So
Right. Revenue, efficiency,
disruption. So disruption will happen. A lot of people know about this. Yeah. And the reason why it will happen is, and maybe I'll talk about that as well, the disruption part.
Sure.
But before that, I'll talk about the other two parts. So disruption will happen. But a lot of people, they overestimate how fast disruption can happen sometimes. Most of the time.
Correct.
So disruption will happen, but I think your businesses will not become irrelevant overnight. I mean, if you have a public company which is turning, X million profit, it's not going to just disappear overnight. It might take some time, and it might create a dent in your revenue, etc. And all these technology might, disrupt you in some way, but it might not just disappear. So what is also important is to use this technology and see how you can improve your revenues, your margins, or create new novel revenue streams inside your business, right? And that is what the revenue part is responsible for. So what we did is that, I'll give you 2 examples which are very interesting. So we had built AI models to predict airfares. So this was in 2017. So that model existed. Obviously, the models have evolved, would become better and better with more data. But the idea of telling a customer who is inside your funnel and trying to book a flight to not book a flight because flights should become cheaper next week sounds a bit stupid, because you basically kind of, it's called self-cannibalization.
Yeah.
So, and also from a customer standpoint, you're not really giving them any actionable insight. You're just telling them sometime next week the fares will go down.
Sure.
And there's no surety that you'll catch that fare. You might be busy in the office and the notification, right? So you might miss it, and for all you know, it might just become too expensive for that, right? So what we did with AI now is that we transitioned that same product into something called price swap. A price swap, what that does is that it gives you a guarantee that if you log this price at a small amount, being a small amount, then no matter what happens to the fares, if the fares go up, you still pay this locked fare. If it goes down, you pay the floor fare.
Oh, okay.
Now, the advantage of this is that Imagine that this product was not giving any revenue to me, the prediction product. Price lock is a revenue spinner, number one. Number two, is great for customers because customers can actually do something actionable now. If you're not sure about it, you can lock it. And you can book it later. Actually have time. In fact, it could automatically do that for you as well in an agentic way, which means that it said that you want me to lock the price.
Is that a play already?
No, this is something that we know modestly is in the works. But all of these things can definitely happen. Second example is on trains. We used to predict waitlisted tickets, and we predict whether your ticket will get confirmed. No, we were the first company to do that in India with the highest accuracy. Started in 2015, and now with like the amount of data that we have, I think it's very hard to kind of get the kind of accuracy that we can with that data.
I mean, 10 years worth of data. You said you want a gold mine.
Yeah, data is definitely the new one. So again, it was a similar problem. So we were predicting and telling people that, you know what, don't buy this ticket because it won't get confirmed already.
No.
So we were not actually monetizing anything from that information. We were helping the customer.
Sure.
But that help was also not very actionable in the sunset.
Correct.
If somebody has to go from A to B, somebody's got to go, they got to go.
Yeah.
Right? But by telling them that it won't get confirmed, you don't buy a ticket,
No.
I'm not helping them in any way.
Yeah, but in a way, I would think Rajnish should help somebody trust with the...
It did. And that's the reason why we've always built products like this, is to not give us away the short term, but they actually give us away the long term. Yes. We prioritize such things because, we always put the customer at the center of everything that we build. So in a way, it was good, but it was still not that great from a customer experience standpoint.
Right.
So we gave it a spin and we transitioned that into travel guarantee. Again, this is something which is run by AI. So AI determines like at what price do you price this product, and when do we sell it, how do we sell it, and for whom do we sell it. Right? All of this is, there's not a single person manually working on these things. It's completely autonomous.
Right.
Now what travel guarantee does is that it gives you the guarantee that if your train is not confirmed, it will give you enough money so you can convert that into a flight ticket or a bus ticket or a higher class train ticket. So like 3x refund. That should be enough to upgrade to 2 AC or 1 AC event or a flight or bus ticket, right? So if you think it's a win-win, it became a revenue spinner for us, and it became more actionable and valuable for a customer because the customer had to go from A to B.